Aisha forgot about the makeup bag completely. It wasn't intentional. It was just one of those days where time slipped through her fingers like sand. The morning had started with a power outage, followed by a late bus, followed by a child at the community library crying because he'd lost his favorite book. By the time her shift ended, her head throbbed and her only thought was a cup of strong coffee. That was when her phone buzzed. "Sana, you're still going, right? Don't cancel on him again." Aisha stopped walking. The blind date. Her heart sank as she checked the time. 45 minutes. That's all she had before meeting a man she'd never seen, only heard described as successful, well-mannered, and very polished. She glanced at her reflection in the glass door of the library. Her hair was tied back in a loose ponytail, a few stubborn strands escaping. Her face was clean, no foundation, no eyeliner, no lipstick. Just her real skin, slightly tired eyes, and the faint freckles she usually covered. "Oh no," she whispered. She dug through her bag. Keys, wallet, book receipts, hand sanitizer. No makeup bag. For a brief moment, she considered texting an excuse. Headache, emergency, rain, anything. But something inside her resisted. She was tired of pretending, tired of preparing herself like a product on display. "It's just coffee," she told herself. 40 minutes. Still, her steps slowed as she walked toward the cafe. Twice, she almost turned back. Once when she passed a group of women laughing, all perfectly styled. Once when she remembered Sana's warning, "He's very put together. Don't show up looking too casual." Too late. The cafe sat quietly between two tall buildings, its golden lights glowing warmly against the early evening sky. Inside, everything looked expensive but understated: polished wood, soft jazz music, low conversations. The kind of place where people discussed ideas, not gossip. Aisha felt out of place immediately. She checked her phone again. Unknown contact. "I'm already here." Corner table. Her heart pounded as she stepped inside. At the corner table sat a man who seemed to belong exactly where he was. Dark hair neatly styled, charcoal suit tailored to perfection, sleeves rolled just enough to look relaxed. A simple watch rested on his wrist, elegant without being flashy. He looked up. The moment his eyes met hers, he stood. "Aisha?" he asked, his voice calm and warm. "Yes, Umar," she replied, suddenly hyper-aware of herself. He smiled, not the rehearsed kind, not the polite one people used on strangers. It was genuine, almost curious. "I'm glad you came," he said, pulling out the chair for her. She waited for it. The brief pause. The subtle disappointment. The way men sometimes looked when reality didn't match expectation. It didn't happen. Instead, Umar studied her face with interest, as if he were seeing something rare. As they sat, a waiter approached. Umar ordered coffee without glancing at the menu, then looked at her. "What would you like?" "Just coffee," she said quickly. "No sugar?" he asked. She blinked. "How did you? You seem like someone who likes things simple," he said, smiling. Something about that disarmed her. As the waiter left, silence settled briefly. Aisha fidgeted with her hands, suddenly aware of the small scar on her knuckle, the faint circles under her eyes. "I'm sorry," she said without thinking. Umar raised an eyebrow. "For what?" "I didn't really get time to," she gestured vaguely toward her face, embarrassed. "To prepare," he guessed. She nodded. He leaned back slightly. "I'm relieved." She looked up, confused. "Relieved?" "Yes," he said. "Most people prepare like they're going into battle." She laughed softly. "That's one way to describe it." "You look comfortable," Umar continued. And honest. No one had ever used that word about her appearance before. The conversation began slowly, then gained momentum. They talked about books, her love for old paperbacks, his habit of buying books he never had time to read. She told him about working at the library, how she liked helping children discover stories. "You could be doing something more lucrative," he said carefully. She shrugged. "I like knowing my work matters to someone." He studied her then, really studied her. "That's rare," he said. As minutes turned into an hour, Aisha forgot about her bare face. She laughed freely, leaning forward as she spoke, surprised by how easily words flowed. Umar listened intently, never interrupting, never glancing at his phone. She noticed small things about him too. The way he spoke with precision but without arrogance. The way he asked questions that went deeper than polite curiosity. Still, something felt off. When the bill arrived, Umar paid without hesitation. No checking prices. No pause. "You don't have to," she began. "I insist," he said gently. Outside, the evening air was cool. Umar walked her to her car, hands in his pockets. "I'd really like to see you again," he said, meeting her eyes. Aisha hesitated, then smiled. "I'd like that too." As she drove away, she glanced in her mirror. Umar was still standing there, watching her car disappear into traffic. Across the street, a sleek black luxury sedan waited. The driver stepped out respectfully. "Sir, shall we go?" Umar nodded, his smile lingering. "Yes," he said. "And cancel tomorrow's board meeting." The driver blinked. "Sir, I have something far more important," Umar replied. As the car door closed, Umar looked once more toward the road Aisha had taken. For the first time in years, he felt something money had never bought him. Anticipation. Aisha didn't find out the truth the way people usually did. There was no dramatic confession, no luxury car reveal, no sudden appearance in the news meant to impress her. It happened quietly, almost cruelly, on an ordinary afternoon, the kind that reminded her why she valued simplicity in the first place. She was shelving returned books at the community library when her coworker Nadia rushed toward her, phone clutched tightly in her hand. "Aisha, have you seen this?" Nadia whispered urgently, eyes wide. Aisha frowned. "Seen what?" Nadia turned the screen toward her. There he was, Umar. Not in the soft cafe lighting. Not leaning across a table, smiling over coffee. He stood on a stage, microphone in hand, dressed in a tailored suit that probably cost more than Aisha's monthly rent. Behind him was a massive screen displaying charts and figures. The headline beneath the video read, "Umar Rahman, Tech Billionaire, launches $200 million education initiative." Aisha felt the blood drain from her face. "Isn't that your?" Nadia trailed off. "My date," Aisha finished, her voice barely above a whisper. "Billionaire." The word echoed in her mind, heavy and unreal. She handed the phone back slowly, her hands trembling. The rest of the day passed in a blur. She smiled at visitors, stamped books, answered questions, but her thoughts were elsewhere. Every small detail replayed itself with new meaning. The way he hadn't looked at prices. The calm confidence. The watch. He lied, she thought. Or at least, he hid the truth. That evening, Umar texted her. "Umar, dinner tonight. Same place as last time." Her fingers hovered over the screen. "Aisha, we need to talk." The restaurant was quieter than before, the lighting low. Umar stood as she approached, his smile fading when he saw her expression. "What's wrong?" he asked. She didn't sit. "You're a billionaire," she said plainly. Umar exhaled slowly, as if he'd been expecting this moment. "Yes, you told me you were a consultant." "I am," he replied gently. "I consult companies I own." Her jaw tightened. So that was a half-truth. It was a boundary, he said. Not a trick. She crossed her arms, anger mixing with something more painful, disappointment. "Did you want to see how I'd act if I didn't know?" "No," he said firmly. "I wanted to see how you act when you're not intimidated." She laughed bitterly. "And did I pass your test?" "There was no test," he said, lowering his voice. "Only relief." That word again. They sat down. Silence stretched between them. "I didn't wear makeup that day," Aisha said suddenly. "I didn't plan to impress you." "I know," Umar said softly. "I showed up as myself," she continued. "If I'd known who you were, I wouldn't have. I would have tried harder. I would have pretended. And that's exactly why I didn't tell you," he said. She looked up, meeting his gaze. "People perform around me," Umar said. "They polish themselves. They flatter. They hide who they are because they think I'm looking for something shiny." He paused. "You weren't." Aisha's anger wavered, replaced by confusion. "You talked about your job like it mattered," he went on. "You laughed without checking how you looked. You didn't try to impress me once." She swallowed. "I thought you were just normal." Umar smiled faintly. "I am. I just happen to have money." "That money changes everything," she said quietly. "It changes how people see me," he agreed. "That's why I hide it." She studied him now, not the billionaire from the screen, but the man sitting across from her. The one who listened. The one who noticed details. "Why me?" she asked. Umar hesitated, then answered honestly. Because you were real when you didn't think it mattered. The waiter arrived, breaking the tension. Neither of them ordered. Aisha, Umar said after the waiter left, if you walk away now, I'll understand. She looked down at the table, then at her reflection in the polished surface, still bare-faced, still herself. Do you know what scares me? She asked. What? That one day, I'll stop being this person around you, she said. That I'll start wondering if I belong in your world. Umar leaned forward. Then we'll build a world where you never have to ask that. Something in his voice, steady, sincere, made her chest ache. Over the following weeks, truth replaced illusion. Umar introduced her not to luxury, but to his past. A childhood of modest means. A mother who worked 2 jobs. Years of being overlooked before success arrived. I don't love money, he admitted one night. I love what it allows me to fix. Aisha shared her fears too. Her contentment with little. Her refusal to chase more just because others expected it. Instead of drifting apart, they aligned. One evening, months later, they returned to the same cafe where they'd first met. Umar glanced at her with a teasing smile. You know, he said, you could wear makeup now if you wanted. She laughed. Why start pretending now? He reached across the table, taking her hand. For the first time in his life, Umar felt wealthy in a way numbers could never measure. And for the first time, Aisha realized that being seen, truly seen, was the greatest luxury of all.